Happy Thursday, everybody. And as of today, happy Thanksgiving. We got a little Thanksgiving special of Kayak Fishing Weekly here for you guys. But again, welcome back to another episode of Kayak Fishing Weekly here on the Serious Angler Podcast Network, where we're talking about everything kayak fishing. We're back with my counterpart here, Justin Largen. I'm Bailey
Hey.
Egbert. Are you feeling any better from the old Hobie BOS TOC slump, if you will? You were feeling pretty sick the last time we talked.
Yeah. I'm getting there. I don't know, for whatever reason this cold is kind of nagging, but I feel fine. It's just I still sound kind of, I don't know. I still sound a little under the weather, but I feel basically 100% again. So that's nice.
You just wake up feeling sick again. It's just a reminder. It's your body creeping up on you, and hey, remember that tournament?
Yeah.
Just nagging at you.
I mean, I'm kind of over it. It stung a little bit, but I feel a lot better. I got a chance to get out this past weekend. We had some real nice weather here. Like it got into the 70s, I think, on Friday, and then maybe a little bit close to the 70s on Saturday. So we had beautiful weather. So I got a chance to do a little fishing, and I probably stayed out in the water a little too long, but
What do you mean? What do you mean too long?
it got cold when the sun went down.
Oh, I get you.
fished,
Okay.
I fished for like another 2 hours shivering.
Hey, when the bite's on, it's on, right? It's
Yo,
kind of hard to leave. I had that same thing happen, but I felt lucky I got in the 40s, at least up here. I thought that felt like summer for
that's the
us.
highs.
That was the high. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We launched in 28-degree weather. I was with my buddy John in Forest, and I didn't feel like it was like late night. We decided to go out the night before. I didn't feel like throwing the pro angler and all that stuff in the back of the truck, so I really just slapped the iTrek in there and a couple of rods. And I'm like, we'll roll with this for now. And we got on a pretty good bite. It was actually super cool. We ended up figuring out in the afternoon, but this time of year, like if you want to catch a fish before 10 a.m., it's got to be a smallmouth because the largemouth will not wake up before 10 a.m. up here right now. And yeah, so like we caught some smallmouth perch, a little multi-species in the morning. Then as soon as the sun came out and things started heating up a little bit on the banks, we all just went to the bank with a jig and started smoking largemouth. It was pretty cool to kind of like recognize what was going on, but had a good weekend as well. It was nice.
So I'm just curious what the water temps are with the air temps that low.
Well, so air temp that low, it was, I want to say, if I had to guess, because none of us had a graph with us. We went to a place that like you cannot get a trailer or a truck down to. You have to like carry and wheel the kayaks way down, and
A kayak place.
yes, through and through. And I want to say it probably mid 40s if I had to guess, but none of us had a graph on us. Kind of just did the old hand test. We're like, oh, seems somewhat cold. Like we might be able to catch him on this.
How long can I hold my hand in the water before it gets numb?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what we did for that. But that was good. It was a good time, and it's gonna get pretty dang cold this weekend. But I think this might be one of the last weekends we have here to get out on some of our inland lakes before the bite gets really, really tough. So
Gotcha.
I plan for a weekend post Thanksgiving of trying to get out and get after them. But it is Thanksgiving. We're not obviously not recording. We're not making our guest today, Miss Kristine Fischer, record with us on Thanksgiving. But nonetheless, the episode dropped on Thanksgiving. You have any fun plans you want to share with the folks?
Just spending some time with family. Gonna have most of the siblings in the area, so it'll be good spending time with family.
Heck yeah, man. I'll be doing the same. My family's actually, my immediate family anyway, is brothers out in Utah, and my parents live in Florida. So we're going to my wife's parents' house, and it's a fun dynamic for people that listen to Serious Angler. They know that I'm an Eagles fan, and my wife, they are all diehard Bills fans, and Eagles play the Bills this weekend. So we were joking, saying we should maybe have to get a divorce lawyer after this week, depending on how this game goes down. But I'll be in a house full of Bills diehards the week of Bills Eagles, so that'll be an interesting Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow.
You'll just be sitting quietly in the back.
Oh no, I mean I got a ring on my finger now. We're locked in, so I can say all the crap I want to.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. It's fun banter nonetheless, but it's gonna be good. And it's gonna be a great episode today because we have a great guest, Miss Kristine Fischer, coming and joining us. We kind of half forced her because she's on the couch. She post surgery, so we locked her in. But nonetheless, it's gonna be a really good show. Real fast for folks. Last episode, we went through all of the Hobie BOS, Bassmaster, fishing adventure. All the trails that are out from a national standpoint, we went through those and what those look like. So if you guys want to go back and listen to that, and Justin, you did a little Hobie TOC recap on that episode as well.
Yeah, I feel like I talked too much, but it was yeah, I tried to break down at least kind of what my game plan was and kind of what I did throughout the tournament. So it
Well,
saved me
that's the
having
nice
to
thing.
do it on my Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's the nice
Okay,
thing
I
about
just want some.
podcasting. Talking too much is a good thing.
Yeah.
We encourage that here in this space.
Yeah, it's so different from trying to do like, all right, let me take all these ideas I have and cram them into like a 30-second sound bite for an Instagram clip or something. It's I like this better.
Yeah, and now you can just be like, "You want to hear about my tournament went? Just go listen to the episode." There you go.
First I did this, and then I did this, and then I thought, huh, and then I did this.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, dude, I think if you got nothing else for the folks to catch up on, we should get on our guest here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, without further ado, let's bring on Miss Kristine Fischer
What's up, guys?
with the whole cast. Hello.
Welcome, Kristine.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we
going
talked
on?
a little bit offline with you, Kristine, but give the people that are either watching or listening a little update on the old cast hand that you got going on.
Yes. So actually, at the TOC that I won 2 years ago, I was carrying a 100-amp battery and a bunch of other things. Like, I don't know about y'all, but when you go to bring batteries into charge, I am not a multiple trip person. I want to get everything in one trip. So I was fully loaded down, stuff tucked under my arms, and I'm carrying a battery like this and walking up the stairs, and something just snapped in my wrist, and this giant cyst appeared on the underside of my wrist. And of course it hurt, for a couple weeks or so. And I didn't go get it looked at because I figured it would just go away. And it never did. It actually got bigger. And then about a year ago, it started really hurting, and I was getting some nerve pain, and I was unable to do any type of weight bearing stuff. I was losing power in this arm. So it was finally time to get the surgery. I had it removed, and I had a carpal tunnel release as well, because it was impinging on the carpal tunnel nerve. So hopefully I'll be ready to go by the first Hobie at the end of January.
Yeah, so people listening to this, that great time.
There's that fancy internet again.
Yeah, Bailey, I think you cut out. For a second, I thought it was me.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Yeah, he looks frozen
no.
to me too.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yeah, you're
now
moving
I got
again.
I literally telling you guys offline that I was gonna do that. Well, here's the good thing: is it's not recorded, so we can always cut that out. But you can. Where did we leave off?
I don't even know.
Kristine was talking about the carpal release.
Carpal tunnel release. Yeah.
Carpal tunnel release.
Yeah, I heard that loud and clear, so we should be fine there. What I was trying to get at was, so for people that compete against you, they're not getting off that easy. You did it right at the right time, so you don't miss any events. You'll be back and ready to go for
Harris. And should they be scared that you fished hurt for the last year and a half, and still were I don't know how many times in the money?
I'd like to use this as an excuse, because for whatever reason this year, I felt like I lost so many more fish, especially at the TOC. And I know it's frog fishing, but just watching my film, like I felt like I've lost some power in my fishing, but I set the hook with my right hand. So I really this shouldn't have a lot to do with that. So I wish I could use that as an excuse, but I think just overall not being able to do much strength stuff just for my upper body in general probably made a difference. So I'm going to try to get back on that. Yeah,
it probably would have been different if it was like the hand you're using with the rod, like holding the rod. That probably would have made things way different.
I think so too, but it was the hand I reel with. Now I do write left-handed and do a lot of other things left-handed, so that's kind of unfortunate, but it's okay.
You're ambidextrous too?
I am, yeah.
That's what I cast. I do everything right-handed. I would throw a punch with the right hand, but I write with my left. And
that's awesome. I didn't know that, Justin.
Yeah, it's I got a couple siblings that are very similar, lefties.
I'm very jealous of you people, because if it's not right, I can't do anything. If anything left, I'm horrible. I can't do it. There's days I've gone out like trying to fun fish, and I will purposely make myself cast and do everything lefty. And it is the most frustrating day, because it is backlash after backlash after just like, but it'll get there eventually.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Well, speaking about that, the way you approach that, and like you looking back on it from the moment it happened to, you had the surgery now, you seem very positive about it all. And that's one thing I think Justin and I both appreciate about you is you have a very positive outlook on a lot of things. And I'm curious from our standpoint, when has that mentality always been something you've had like since you were a kid? Was it something instilled in you? Is that something you picked up along the way? Like, where did that develop? Because I think that's something that a lot of people can pick up on nowadays.
Yeah. So I do think that I've had a lot of those characteristics as a kid. I was always, glass half full, very optimistic. I was your textbook dreamer. I always saw the silver lining in things, but there have definitely been times in my life where I've drifted from that. Even the first few years into competitive kayak fishing, I kind of fed into some of the tensions and animosities that were out there for sure. And I really saw what that did to me in a lot of ways and what it did to a lot of other people. So I've definitely had times where I've drifted from who I am and what I believe in and how positive and just uplifting that, I always try to maintain. But yeah, I think I come from a very positive, very glass half full family, and that definitely helps. And for the most part of my life, I think a lot of it has to do with your surroundings. And a lot of the people, I look at a lot of my childhood friends and a lot of people that I'm close with now, and they are also the most uplifting and positive people. You look at the people that I travel with and a lot of the people I stay with on the road and the people that I'm close to. I have a lot of really, really diverse friend groups in the sport of kayak fishing, but the people that I would say that are in my circle are just the most wonderful, uplifting, positive, no gossip, no drama type of people. And that just also, I feed off of that, and it really helps, makes a huge difference.
That's a great point. And Justin, this is something you and I have talked about where it's like, if you're around negative, it's harder to not think negative. If you're around positive, it's much easier to think positively. Like that's a great point. It's a big thing in who you involve yourself with. And because when you see that and you see, like we'll point out G, for example, I've had very few times where I've gotten to be around him, but every time I have, he's the most positive person in the room.
Yeah.
It's infectious. And when you see that, you want to strive to be that when you see that around you. So I love that.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
he's
I'm a
definitely
little.
been an excellent role model in that regard. I mean, that man has, I literally to this day don't think I've heard him say a bad thing about anybody, which is pretty remarkable, and Bailey, you and I have had conversations where I've kind of struggled with a couple of things, and you've pointed me back to, well, this is how you need to handle it, this is who you are, and have helped kind of lift me up when I've felt a little weaker in that too. So I just appreciate all the good people that we have close that can reel us back in.
100%. Justin, you're going to say something?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a little bit jealous because I feel like I'm the opposite. Like when I'm around groups of people, I'm more positive, but I feel like the demons start to get in my head when I'm by myself. And sometimes when I'm on the water too, like it just the negative voices. It's really easy for me to find something negative, but when you start getting around positive people, it makes it a lot easier to push those voices out and kind of find
Mhm.
silver linings and the positive side of things. Because I mean, we're fishing tournaments where we get to go fishing. It's when you kind of step back and look at it like that, it's really hard to be mad at, oh, one got off. It's like you got to go fishing. A lot of people didn't get to go fishing today, so
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
a lot of it is perspective, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the putting yourself around positive people makes a big difference.
And it's a discipline thing, being mentally disciplined. It sounds like it's so easy. Like we look at our lives, all of us have our health. We've got good families and friends, and we get to fish, a lot. And it's like, well, of course we should be grateful, but it's so much harder, when we get out there and those little things happen and everything seems to be going wrong. And that's where it's so important to be mentally disciplined to where when those thoughts for me, like I know when those thoughts start coming into my head, I just automatically have conditioned myself to shut them down and shut them out. And how I used to do that, I went through a really bad, really painful divorce. Like, gosh, it's probably been 10 years now. But that was one of the toughest parts of my life. And I remember when I was wearing all of this guilt and all of this shame through all of this stuff and all the mistakes that I had made. And all of these thoughts were coming into my head. And it made it to where I couldn't get out of bed for weeks. You know, I'd go and do my job and I'd come home and go to bed and just lay in bed because I was just so ridden with guilt and shame. And that's when I literally had to start writing. This sounds really silly, but I'd literally write 10 things a day that I was thankful for. And at first it was really hard for me to do that. And it sounds so silly that I couldn't think of 10 things I was grateful for. But in the midst of that, where I was in that season, I couldn't. But then after I started doing it for a couple of days and a couple of weeks, I was writing 50 things I was thankful for, 100 things I was thankful for. And that really helped me and just trained me to look at, no matter what your circumstances are, it's never about your circumstances. It's all about your disposition, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not on paid meds right now, I promise, but I do feel a little loopy.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, you're saying the writing down the 10 things a day. You're probably doing talk to text now because you said you're lefty.
Oh yeah. I can't. I've literally been talk to texting everybody. And a lot of my friends are like, you never text this much. And I was like, I know, I'm saying out what I want to say. And so it's writing everything down in these massive texts. There's no grammar. It's great.
One giant run-on sentence.
It kind of is, and I'm very particular about my grammar too. So it looks very funny when I'm doing this.
Yeah. Somebody got a hold of Kristine's phone. Somebody's pretending to be Kristine.
That's literally what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, because you look at your captions and it's like the super well put, well intricate, like from like it's almost like an essay, if you will. Some of your captions.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know I was a freelance writer for a long time. And so people are like, oh, why are you writing these long captions? Like, well, I used to write for a living. So that's part of that's how I creatively express myself. And I love to write sometimes.
I have some buddies that when I write a long caption, they'll send the link of that post to me and they say word count.
Yeah. I got plenty of friends that do that too. And I'm just like, well, tough. Don't read it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say me for one, thoroughly enjoy it. So keep it rocking because you definitely have a group of people that enjoy reading those. Yeah, I wanted to bring up the mentality thing because you hear so many times in the sport, oh, fishing's mental. And it is. And people talk about how it's important to stay positive, but it really doesn't that conversation doesn't go beyond that statement where wanted to bring it up as like a prime example of how important it is, one, from a fishing aspect, but two, life and who you surround yourself with. And so I appreciate us talking about that. Moving into some more fishing conversation here. So it's been a year and a half or so that you've had to deal with that. Have you been kind of restricted in regards to like technique per se or anything you want to throw, or have you kind of just rolled through it?
I would say I definitely feel I've got some nerve damage in both of my shoulders. And I think more than my wrist, that's been working topwaters and jerkbaits. I fatigue very fast. And I've got to start getting a little better about that. I've got some PT exercises I'm supposed to be doing, but I fish so much that when you're in an internally rotated position, when you're here and doing this all day long, it turns out it's not super good for your body. So I'm starting to kind of feel the aftermath of that. And I can't lift my hands up like this for longer than maybe 30 seconds. Like if I hold a headlamp up, I'll start getting pain in my shoulders.
Oh, dang.
So yeah, I can fix that. I just have to, remember that discipline thing I was talking about? I'm really good being disciplined mentally, but not when it comes to any type of physical, like working out anything. That's not great about that.
I think that's most of us.
Yeah. Well, maybe most of us in the fishing space. I guess we don't have a ton of athletes, do we?
Yeah, there's definitely some though. Like, I mean, there's some specific fishing injuries. I mean, I feel like for whatever reason, since you mentioned to me the other day that you're having surgery, I don't know what it is, but like I was scrolling on social, maybe it was my phone listening, and I saw on Instagram like 3 other professional anglers that were having surgery. It seemed like the same
Oh,
week.
it's all over. Like everyone's having surgery right now. I had like 5 or 6 of them reach out to me and they sent me pictures of their hand or their elbows. Like, oh, yep, us too. And I was like, this must be the season to get everything done. Well, we're not fishing for the next month.
Uh-oh.
We lost him again.
Bailey's frozen.
Good.
Bailey.
At least he's frozen in like a somewhat flattering. There he goes.
Yeah, he didn't have his eyes closed. Wasn't drooling or anything.
Am I back yet?
You're back.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It blows my mind because it was perfect the past 3 shows that I had this Ethernet cord in. I don't know.
I'm always usually bad luck.
I wouldn't say it's that. Well, we'll keep rocking and I'll edit it out. I apologize for that.
You're good.
Okay, we pick up where I left. What's the last thing you heard?
Oh, everyone having surgeries right now.
Is that what we're talking about? Okay. So
I saw Brian Schmidt, I think, was the last one that I saw. And I don't remember if it was surgery or if it was some kind of a shot, but I think it was he tore something. Like he thought it was like tennis elbow and he tore something. And I remember doing that. I mean, it's been a couple years, but I remember like that is such an annoying like injury if you're a fisherman. I remember doing that. I hadn't fished in general in a long time, and I went to Florida and was punching with a big weight. And I just remember like I think I just fatigued that muscle. And then I remember setting the hook, I think at Lake Fork at the next tournament, and just feeling something pop and going, uh-oh. So I didn't tear anything. It eventually healed, but I don't know how many different little bands and stuff I tried to just sort of like a short-term fix. And it really does, at least for me, it impacted like how I was fishing. I was making very ginger hook sets, like trying not to make it worse.
Yeah, like that whole tennis elbow thing. I mean, that's something that's not even impacting your fishing. That's impacting literally like quite everything.
Everything. Yep.
Yeah. But in getting back to like legitimate fishing conversation, outside of tournaments, I know you're a big muskie angler. That definitely seems to be a pretty big passion of yours.
That's a flattering face right there.
Bailey, you're doing it again. The last thing we heard was muskie angler.
Mm-hmm.
Am I back yet?
Yep, there you go.
All right, hold on. I got text my wife to get off the Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's doing it. This is the worst it's ever done.
It might be time of day. I wonder if you're normally shooting them later. But no, that wouldn't make sense. You
I think later would be worse.
Yeah, more people would be like sitting at home streaming something.
Browsing.
I have no idea, but I'm gonna have a lot of editing to do, I guess.
We got you now, though.
Yeah, let's get it in while we can, right?
Muskie angler.
Yeah, muskie fishing, definitely a big passion of yours. But take competition and what you should be doing on certain lakes aside. If you had top 3 styles of fishing, whether it's technique or species, top 3 of your choice for fun, what would you do?
Number 1 is easy. River muskie fishing in the winter, specifically. Throwing big baits on little rivers in the southeast for muskie. That, without a doubt, that's number 1. It's always going to be. Number 2, I'm going to say northern Wisconsin for smallmouth fishing. No technique in particular. I do like throwing little swim baits and stuff for them up there, and jigs. I got a really good jig bite on some of those lakes. Probably one of my favorites. And then the third, I would have to say fishing snook down in the Everglades and the mangroves, with skipping flukes way up in the mangroves and having big snook eat them. It's pretty freaking cool.
I've never done
a little
that.
diverse.
Yeah, I love that.
I gotta thank Guillermo for that one. He introduced me to that. He knows the glades like the back of his hand.
That is awesome.
Mhm.
I'm spoiled now in the fact that I'm living up in the smallmouth Mecca, but then
Mhm.
my parents live 5 minutes from Boca Grande in Florida, so I get to go down and go saltwater fish anytime I want. So very
That's
spoiled in that.
amazing. Yeah, I wish y'all didn't have high property taxes up there. I've honestly been looking to buy a place on Kayak after we had that tournament up there. Like I've seriously been looking to buy a place, and I've had a couple that I've even called on. But I was like, gosh, these property taxes are insane.
It is, yeah. If you get me started on that, I'll go for another hour.
Okay.
I think Florida is one of the places where they don't have that problem. I think
Tennessee,
Florida,
Florida, Arkansas,
Texas.
Oklahoma. Yeah, Texas.
New
Yeah.
York is a great state to live in, except for when you look at it from a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, like when I had Alex Rudd, he came up and stayed with me, and like I was always told him like Western New York or Central New York feels like Eastern Tennessee, like when you look at it, and
Except it's
people are
cleaner.
relatively the same, and
It's
it's
way cleaner up there though.
cleaner in what regard?
No
Environmentally,
trash.
like there's
Oh,
no trash anywhere. That's the
Yeah.
thing. I couldn't. Tennessee has down in the South. It's like people just don't respect the land. There's trash everywhere in the lakes and the rivers and the boat ramps. I've never been to an area like New York, upstate, Western Central New York, where I didn't see any litter anywhere. It was insane. Loved that.
well, that is
Yep.
our absurdly high taxes somewhat at work.
Price everybody out.
Is that what
Yeah.
I was going to ask you? Is that what it is? Is there just a massive like cleanup initiation, or do people just respect their property that much more? What is it?
I think it's there's definitely certain areas where you don't see it looks similar to what you're saying where people just don't care. But for the most part, I feel like a lot of us I guess I really don't know how to say it, but we clean up after ourselves. But I think beyond that, there are some good programs that do take care of the state from an outdoor standpoint, but like even like the highways and stuff like that. Like a lot of our stuff goes to like road repair and things like that, and keep that clean. But it is a great place from an outdoorsman standpoint. The
For
deer
sure.
hunting's good. That turkey hunting is stupid. But the fishing's great. It's just it's a hard place to afford to live at. But yeah, it's nice to have different things in your corner. But hey, we have a guest room. If you and G and whomever, to anybody that wants to come up and fish New York, we got spare bedrooms. We got a whole giant kayak community of people that love fishing up here. So you guys are
Yeah,
welcome
that's
anytime.
that's awesome. We'd love to spend some more time up there, and I think next year we definitely will be doing that.
Heck yeah. Yeah, come on up. I was telling like Rudd and Justin here, like if you're gonna come to Cayuga, come up in like April and May before that tournament before it's spawn.
Yeah. Okay.
That is primo.
Okay.
Those big ones that you were catching last year, just that, but they're all on the same rock pile. You can catch like 20 of them.
That's insane.
Yeah,
Making the
very
same cast
helpful.
over and over.
Yeah, it's a great body of water. But one thing that I joke about with you all the time, and so do a bunch of people on social media. But you run around your kayak unlike anybody else I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to bring this to a point, not just to make fun of myself, but how important is it for a kayak angler, regardless if you are salt, freshwater, tournament, or non-tournament, to at obviously the right time of year for us Northerners, don't do it like right now, to test the limits of your kayak so that you know how far you can go, especially from like a mobility standpoint.
I think it's super important, and for me, I guess I've been in the same kayak now for 5 years, so I know that kayak handles. I know what it's, and I don't even realize sometimes that I'm running from the very front to the back. I know that if I've got a fish that, I just flipped a group of reeds and that fish is stuck, I can run up front and get more leverage or get closer to it without even thinking about it, and I definitely think, yeah, make sure the conditions are right, but knowing what your, secondary stability and your initial stability is on your kayak and how it's going to handle is very important, especially when you're putting motors on these kayaks, with foot control steering, when they can turn really fast. It's For me, I want to be as comfortable in that kayak as possible because we do fish a lot of big water. We fish a lot of moving water. and accidents happen, when we get distracted and things, sneak up on us a little bit. So the more you are familiar and know that kayak, just like a bass boat, just like a bass boat, you want to know the ins and outs, how that thing handles, and that's going to help you be more safe out there.
Is that something you've done, Justin? Like taking your kayak out bare bones and just see
Run
what you can
around
do?
the kayak.
Maybe not run around, but tested it out to see how far you can go.
I've tested it. Not the way like that Jeff Little does in some of his videos. But
Jeff's extreme.
yeah. I've never put the wetsuit on and like intentionally like tried to roll it like that. But I've been in them, and I'm in an Outback, so it's not unstable by any means, but it's different. I've only been in a pro angler once, and that was it was a local tournament. I was kind of helping one of my buddies get his boat kind of away from where all the bass boats were launching. So I just, sort of hopped in and paddled it out of the way of the ramp. And I was impressed with the stability. It's a different
the best
level.
few seconds of your life, wasn't it?
I was like, wow. Except for the paddling part. The paddling part, I
No,
was
you
like,
don't want. They're not made to paddle.
like I like to paddle in certain situations. So I don't know that I'll end up in one, but I definitely, if I was looking for something, that was more stable than what I have, like it's nice.
Well, not just that, but the 360. That is where I really truly see the value in jumping into a larger kayak, is having that 360. And I know Bailey can speak to that too.
That changes.
It makes you so much more efficient. It makes you hold position better. You have better boat position in every situation. Whereas if you're in any other kayak out there, and there's wind or there's a little bit of current, I could never go back, ever.
I might have to spend some time testing one. Maybe drive to dugout and play with one or something.
You need to.
Do you think that's actually a good question? Do you think a lot of people would switch from a pro angler down to an Outback if they made a 360 drive for the Outback?
Yes and no. I think the Outback definitely, like Justin said, and when there's situations where you're wanting to paddle, the Outback definitely has its place. But, I fish out of my pro angler on the Susky on these really shallow rivers and all these things. And I think having an Outback 360 would be incredible. But the reason that they don't is because it'd be super dangerous. Because the Outback is so much narrower that if you had a 360 ability to turn, you could flip it so much easier,
Yeah.
But,
Gotcha.
maybe the Outback, I actually, to be totally honest, I was not a fan of the Outback for the longest time. I got in it and I didn't like it. I felt so cramped. But we've got a couple lakes in Texas that are old power plant lakes that you can't get a boat on, and you have to launch off a bridge. And so instead of making the guys drag my pro angler down there, I just fished out of an Outback, and I'm starting to get way more comfortable in it, because Justin's right. Like, it is stable, but it's a different stability. And, for bringing a couple of rods along and doing some fun fishing or some river fishing, I could definitely fish out of an Outback.
If I did like the inverse, like for me, this is the biggest boat I've ever owned. I had a Wilderness Systems Commander and then a Wilderness Ride. So they were relatively small, kayaks to begin with. So this upgrading from the Ride, this felt like a battleship. It was tougher to paddle, but it was still like, I was like, man, I can stand up and do a lot in this that, I couldn't do in the other one. And it holds position better. Like it's a different kayak, and I like it for a lot of situations. But it's like those minute or whatever sitting in the pro angler is like, it just felt like there was so much space at my feet. Like one of the tricky things for me is getting fish measured when you've got a relatively small kayak.
Yeah.
And then I just recently got a 9-inch graph. So I've got the graph on the one side, and then if I've got my throttle for the motor on the other side, it's like, where does the board go? And it's a very sort of cramped feeling in there that the pro anglers is takes it to a different level.
Yeah. And do you have a seat riser on yours? Did you get that extra seat riser kit? I've seen Steven Sisto had that down at Harrison, actually. And if I had the Outback, I'd definitely be getting that seat riser.
Really? I didn't realize they had something like that.
They do. Yeah. I can't remember the company that makes them, but Sisto had them. And I was like, man, because that's my biggest complaint. If you're long and tall, sitting down that low and pedaling is going to wear out your hip flexors so fast. And that's why I love sitting up high in a pro angler. It makes the world difference for comfort for all day stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll find that seat riser, and then obviously for you, Justin, for anybody else that has an Outback that wants to get into one, we'll link that down in the description for you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had one either.
Yep.
But that was the first Hobie I've ever owned was an Outback, and for people that have been around me, I have quite big thighs. I have tree trunks, and it is very hard for me. The first time I try to measure a fish in there, I'm like, this is going to be a problem.
You'll get like every once in a while, I'll be turned funny, and you'll get like a Charlie horse like that kicks up, and you have to like stand up and like shake it out. I don't think I'd have that problem in a pro angler.
I definitely would thoroughly enjoy watching you standing up to shake it out.
It's like a weird, I don't know. It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I'll notice it. Like I'll be trying to twist to grab something out of the black pack, or I'll be leaning forward funny somehow. And it just, something gets turned in a way that it doesn't like, and it wants to just sort of lock up. Maybe I'm just getting old.
I think we're all in that boat.
Sure feel it.
No, you're not, Bailey.
Yeah, Bailey's a pup still.
I was told by my doctor with my laundry list of injuries being an athlete. He said he's like you might be 25. He goes, but your body's 40.
Thanks, Doc. That's exactly what you want to hear at your
I was like, yes, nice.
It's harsh.
Dude, there's days I feel it. Like I get up out of that chair and I already like groan and things start cracking. It sounds like a concert happening.
Was it hockey?
Hockey and lacrosse beat the crap out of me. Yeah.
Dang. Those will do it.
Mm-hmm. But
good sports.
Speaking of life outside of fishing, people that follow you, obviously that you're very outdoorsy. From fishing all over the freaking country to hunting when seasons are in. But is there anything else you do outside of fishing, or is Kristine 100% in on just Mother Nature and outdoors?
Well, I mean, yeah, I do a lot of hunting. I guess that's outdoors, isn't it? I do.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I love camping. I love cycling. I love mountain biking. That's all outdoor stuff. And we think if there's anything. So I like music a lot. I can't play. I'm not musically inclined at all, but I have a really deep appreciation for music. Gosh, that's kind of boring. I guess most everything that I like to do revolves around the outdoors. I'm not a TV person. I don't know any of the cool trending shows. I don't watch any TV. I like to read sometimes.
Hey, that's not a bad thing at all. It's okay to be 100% encompassed in it.
Yeah, I think that I think I kind of am for the most part. Yeah.
You still do the freelance writing, or was that more of a work thing, or more of a, like something you actually enjoyed?
I enjoyed it when I wasn't getting paid for it, if that makes sense. I did a lot of writing in college and in high school that I didn't get paid for. But then, when I was trying to do this full time and make a living and figuring out how I can go on the road, I left a very good job to go out on the road. And I was, when I worked at my job back home, I was doing a few small writing gigs for a couple outdoor publications that didn't pay very well. But I just did a few of them just for supplemental income and just because I enjoyed it. But when I went out on the road, I was picking up every single writing gig I could just to try to make some money. And it didn't matter if they didn't pay hardly, next to nothing. I did everything I could and took job. And that kind of burnt me out on the writing just a little bit. But it's really hard, at least it was 7 years ago to find work remote. Now it's so much easier to find ways to make money when you're, living remote or, trying to work remote. But back then, before COVID, it really wasn't. So I was literally writing way too much and for next to nothing for pay.
Yeah. Now it seems like that side of things has boomed. Like you said.
Absolutely has. If you're a creative person and you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you can literally, there's so much stuff you can do now. If you want to fish full time, there's been some really interesting discussion lately. I'm sure you guys have seen Jacob Bouts' videos and all the the discussion on the, I watched those too after kind of seeing some of that talk. And it was really interesting because I get, I see different sides of what he was saying, what other people were saying. And it's crazy though, that people would think that there really is this huge misconception that when you're a professional angler, you literally just get paid to fish and it's through your tournament winnings. I'm not sure it was really ever like that, but I think a lot of people, they think that these, PKAs or these, professional anglers are literally just making money because of their tournament winnings. And that I just don't ever think that's ever been the case,
Yeah.
But if you're smart, you can make as much money as you want to in this industry. You really can.
It's all effort. That's all it is.
It's a lot of
And
effort, but
consistency.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like a one and done thing. You're like, I'm gonna try this. I didn't get any result from it. I'm not gonna do it. You have to be consistent. It
You
takes
do.
a while to get noticed.
Yeah, I mean, look at guys that just started, YouTube. Look at people used to make fun of kayak anglers doing YouTube 5 or 6 years ago. Now everybody's trying to do YouTube,
Right.
and you look at, I give Jake Harshman a lot of credit. I like to give him a hard time, but also he started his YouTube, 2 years ago now, and he's been very diligent on there and he's monetized now. He's making money on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to leave his day job by any means, but he's actually making money. And it's because he stuck with it and he just got into it. So that just tells you if you want to do something, you're not going to have overnight success with it. I sure as heck did, and it took me years to make, to get where I'm at right now. But you have to start now.
Yeah, old Greg Blanchard. I knew Greg before he started YouTube because he grew up near me. We fished on the same trail together when I was like, I think I was like 17. First tournament I had to have my dad drop me off for. This was like I think when Greg had maybe a couple hundred subs. He was getting like 100 views on a video, and like the only reason he's at where he's at now, like 120,000, is because he was consistent. It wasn't because like if you're chasing the numbers, you're not going to go very far. You just got to have a passion for it. That's where it all starts.
It has to be absolutely has to be a passion. Yeah. And I love to see all these opportunities opening up for more kayak anglers. That's one of my biggest goals, is to help educate and help teach people how they can start making some money doing what they love to do if their head's in the right place. I see a lot of doors opening for friends of mine, for people in this industry, and it's the coolest thing. It's a really exciting time to, I think, be in this sport, and I love to see it.
Yeah, and from the kayak side, Justin, feel free to jump in on this. I personally think that there's some people that say, oh, there's so many channels now, there's so many people doing it. But when you look at the kayak side, there's really not a lot. And when you think about it, if more and more anglers, kayak wise, started posting on YouTube or put more effort into content, there would be more eyes drawn to it. Like especially when we look at from the industry in itself, from even say like a non-endemic branding, like people see that and they see that as a growing sport. It'd be more eyes, and therefore, hopefully, you'd think more money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see an issue with more and more people doing it. I always try to encourage people like Dolan Lowry. I always get on his case. I'm like, why are you slacking on the YouTube stuff? You got all this footage, start posting it. But
I get on his case about it too.
Yeah. He's just an easy case to get on.
He is. Yeah, he makes it too easy on us.
He does. He takes it well though. And he gives the right amount back too.
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, I'm all for it. Go ahead, Justin.
This is like good motivation for me, because that's one thing that I had it in my head probably 7 or 8 years ago, that I was I'm gonna try this YouTube thing, and I got an old, like one of the original GoPros, and I got a few hours worth of recordings of it, and I just never did anything with it. I didn't end up actually like posting it. I don't know if I was just too self-conscious or what, but I dragged my feet, and I have one now, and I've still just like haven't actually taken the plunge and put stuff up. And it's something that I need to do, and I've known I need to do it, and I just keep not doing it. So now I'm going to do it.
Yes. Look at what you accomplished today. You've got to, because you learn, if anything, but just to help yourself grow too, and to go back and watch. I love going back sometimes and watching my tournaments to see what I did a certain time of year in a certain body of water. And, I looked at my Chickamauga stuff from the TOC, and I looked at how horrible my frog fishing mechanics had gotten, you know? So it allows you to see, it just allows you to see where you need to really improve on. And then bonus, you get to monetize it, you know? Sorry, there's like a spider that's been eyeing me hard over here. I'm just gonna click it away real quick. I kept looking. He's like sitting right here on my parents' display thing. I was flicking him away.
You just wanted the mic. He had something to say.
Yeah, he was a gosh dang, you can't, how the heck did he get back? Oh, he was on a web. Okay, there we go. We're good.
I want to see him crawl across the front of the screen.
Dude, so we want to talk about that. I had like PTSD when you said that, crawling across the screen. When I was for that fall tournament last year, I was camping by myself, and I'm in a tent. I'm at night, and I'm just sitting there like I had just gotten done FaceTiming my wife, and I'm sitting there watching a YouTube video before I go to bed, and the only thing lit up in this tent is my phone, and you just see a spider crawl across my screen. You would have thought that I was like an 8-year-old girl screaming in this tent because I freaked. I slept in the truck that night. If I tell you anything.
I said that's how scary movies start. I was camping by myself in a tent at Eufaula at night.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where they all start.
Like, I don't mind the bugs and the critters, like, when I'm outside, like, and when I'm camping, I feel like I'm in their space then. It's like when they bother me is when I feel like they're in my space. Like, when I remember I was sleeping, it was a finished basement, but I was sleeping down there, and I remember waking up and having, like, one of those little centipede things, like, crawl across my face, and that was I had a moment like you did when that happened. I was like, "Ah!"
Yeah. I don't know.
But
it's even worse.
But like in the tent, it's like the little daddy long legs crawling around. I'm calm. Like, I open the tent and just drop them outside and close it back up. But like,
Well, I mean,
it's
daddy
different.
long legs are harmless.
Yeah. But it's
this was not one of those.
We had we had an Airbnb in Arkansas for that Dardanelle tournament, and it was infested with brown recluses in the basement. And Siddiqui had said he woke up and he killed 3 of them on his chest throughout the course of our Airbnb. He was very cool, calm, and collected about it, but they were legit brown recluses.
You want to be grossed
Killed
out
it on his chest. Yeah.
Do a Google image search of a brown recluse bite if you want to be grossed out.
Yeah, they get pretty, but they don't affect everybody. That's what's crazy. You know, only a certain amount of people really get affected by their bites.
Those things scare the hell out of me.
Yeah, they're not, man.
We're going to look back on the analytics of this show, and everyone is going to drop at that moment. They're like, I'm done here. This.
We probably should save that for the end, huh?
Nah, you're good. That's just how it is. But yeah, there's so many of those. I think that we could dive into. I'm actually curious when we're going to start wrapping this up here and let you go soon. But with how much you've traveled, is there a story that pops into mind of like just an insane travel story, something that you'll never forget?
Gosh, I mean, every year, you know, you look at my crew that travels, and we're a dang traveling circus. It seems like sometimes we're all so dang just irresponsible and reckless. It seems like every year there's a bunch of stuff that happens. We had the power go out at Gunnersville. That was pretty crazy. It was out for like 4 days, and Russ had all of his hippie food in the fridge, you know, so we didn't have a refrigerator, and he was freaking out, and we had no lights. That was a pretty fun experience, but we just put a bunch of headlamps like in bottles inside the house, and Siddiqui brought beer, and so we just like hung out in the dark for like 4 days. That was a pretty good time.
Was that this year, or was that a previous?
Yeah, this was the one that I had to DQ myself at. So that was all going on too. You know, when we got the time, Cody and I both got the time wrong. About off the water, lines out.
So you weren't even able to like charge anything, or
no,
you just go use your vehicles if you wanted to charge something.
That's what we did. Yeah,
that's horrible. No, so
that was a crazy storm.
That was
it turns out,
right?
Yes, it was the Bassmaster, and it turns out the reason that they couldn't get our power on, it was one guy that had a generator, and the power people were like, we can't turn all the power on this peninsula until this guy cuts his generator, and he was refusing. He was like, I'm not cutting my generator off. Like, it was a whole deal. he was like hoarding this power, and they said they could not, for the safety, because it was too much voltage or something. They could not turn the power on until this one guy in this little A-frame and his little, homestead killed his generator, and he wouldn't do it.
Wow.
So that's why it was like several days that we had no power.
I might have been on like some kind of overnight mission. The power might mysteriously go out on that generator.
Yeah, there
4
were
days
some
is a long time.
really upset people on that one. I mean, we were good with it. And I mean, at least every trip, one of us loses keys or gets stuck somewhere. It's just a nonstop. We really, I think, know how to roll with the punches and just literally just keep on keeping on no matter what happens, because it's always a kind of a mess.
Yeah, that's the stuff you're gonna remember though. You won't.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll remember a TOC win, but most of those big tournaments, you're not gonna remember that first thing. You remember those stories.
Exactly.
Okay. Are you a music girl or podcast girl when you're on the road?
All music.
All
music. Yeah. There's some podcasts I really love, but lately I've been having some major like ADD and just focusing on sometimes when people talk in the car, I'll get car sick too. It's the
Really?
weird, like Gio listen to these ridiculous whitetail podcasts about these thermals, this real scientific stuff. And I'm like, you got to turn that off right now, because I'm about to throw up. Like, I can't listen to this guy talking about these stupid thermals anymore, like for the remainder of this. So I'm a big time. I need music when I'm driving.
I've never heard of getting because it sounds like a motion sickness, like you're reading almost. Like it's
but it's when people are talking.
That's crazy to me.
I know, but if they're singing,
I can understand it. Yeah, but if they're singing, it's weird. Okay.
Yeah, if they like sing on a podcast, I'm solid. But if they're just talking, I have a hard time with it.
Oh man, that's crazy.
But I do like some of the fishing ones. When I get some downtime or when I'm rigging, I do love listening to some of the fishing podcasts, and there's some good ones out there. And some like the Huberman Show. I love the scientific stuff too.
Yes.
So Cody got me turned on to those guys.
Of course he did.
Yeah, Cody, he's a trip.
Yeah, we're trying to nab Cody on this show coming up here soon.
Well, I hope it's not for fishing, because he's not going to be fishing really anymore.
Yeah, well, that's going to be one of the conversations we want to have with him about that. That's pretty wild.
It really is. And we need to, I told him that for his next like big professional pickleball match, we all need to go and like have a cheering section for him.
Yes.
Get t-shirts with his face on it.
Heck, we'll live stream the event.
Yes, he supposedly, Cody is extremely athletic, and obviously he's one of the best fishermen that we've ever seen in our sport. He's just naturally good at so many things, and we love him to pieces because he's, it's Cody. But he is very, very good at pickleball. When he like sets his mind to something, it's insane what he can do.
That's awesome.
I hadn't seen him in a while at the TOC, and he looked like he was in really good shape. Like he looked like he was.
Dude, he lost like 40 pounds.
Okay, it wasn't just me,
because he almost weighs less than I do.
All right, because for a second I was like, maybe
he and Russ actually played pickleball. Cody's dad, you guys got to hear this. Found these two like top-notch, like ranked pickleball high school girls in Dayton, Tennessee, and scheduled a match with Russ and Cody against these high school girls. And so they played them in Dayton, and apparently some random like traveling people came through and were playing at the Dayton courts, and they just by watching Cody play, like they went up to him and were like, "Hey, here's our number. Like we need to play sometime." It's freaking crazy, this pickleball culture.
That's insane. I'm writing this down because one, I forget everything super fast, but I need to look this stuff up.
Yeah, it's wild.
That is nuts.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. He's I hope he still does some tournaments occasionally, but
he says he will. I just don't know.
I hope he doesn't lose touch with fishing. And maybe it's one of those things, where people go through a cycle where they just feel burnout. Nonetheless, I don't want to put a bunch of theories out there because I want to go straight to the source and see if Cody wants to come on and do a show and talk about it. I'm super intrigued about stuff like that.
Yeah. Pickleball show.
Yeah. Welcome to your pickleball show on Kayak Fishing Weekly.
I know absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
If you want to get Cody on the show, you tell him you want to talk about pickleball, and he'll be here.
Deal. That's awesome. Well, Justin, you wanna wrap us up?
Yeah. I got a question. I guess it's kind of about your life goals or maybe goals for this upcoming year? Because I heard you mention something in one of your recent videos about maybe thinking about tournaments on the boat side, and I was kind of curious about that.
Oh, yeah, I haven't really talked about this yet to anybody publicly, but
Breaking.
yeah, I'm getting a boat.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll have it in January, and I'm gonna fish. I'm gonna fish my first couple boat tournaments next year, with the goal of maybe in 2025 fishing all 9 opens.
Nice.
dang.
Yeah,
I was hoping that was kind of the direction or something that you were thinking about at least,
it
because
is, and I've
that
been thinking about it for a long time.
I before I ever did, even fish out of a kayak, I did some BFLs as a co-angler, and I never felt like I was in a position to, like buy a bass boat, but it was kind of that was something that was in my head as like a long-term goal. It's like, you know what? There's been, like there've been guys and Greg DePalma, guys that have come from the boat side to the kayak side, but nobody so far has done the inverse. And I think it's like you're actually in a position to do that. You're well known in the industry, great fisherman, and I think you could actually go out there and compete and give some guys a run for their money. We've got
Ugh.
Milliken, YouTubers making it to the Elite Series. I want to see somebody from the kayak space do it. So,
That I think right now, the competition, the opens is tougher than the professional tour. I really do. Just knowing some of the guys that are in it and how good they are and how rough they did, it's going to be difficult. I'm going to do a video on this soon and kind of talk through all of it and what my decision, why my decision is going to be the way it's going to be. But I think that right now we have so many kids that all they do is they live and breathe fishing, bass fishing competitively. And when you have 200 of them that have the money and the experience and that hunger for bass fishing, that's why we're seeing this competition just get insane in the Bassmaster Opens. And I love bass fishing, but I also have a boyfriend I love spending time with. I want to slow down a little bit one day. I have a lot of my business that I take care of now, my brand. So I have to really, my goals. And when I go to the boat and do those things, I don't know what they're going to look like, but it is I want to make sure I'm realistic with myself. And I think I just want to have female representation on that level, because a lot of women are so intimidated to fish them because they're so tough. And I think that even if I don't do well, just fishing them, hopefully might inspire more women to try.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome.
I love
And
that.
I think you would have the support of the entire kayak world in those efforts. And
I'm
I
lucky
think you would,
for that.
I think you would do very well. I mean, you're right. It's very good competition, but you can hang with those guys.
We're going to find out maybe.
It's the dang gauntlet now, especially after with everything that's happened with
MLF
and things. Opens next year in 2025, especially that and like the MPFL are going to be pretty crazy shakeup. Not to get all boat professional on here, but like it's tough. It's intimidating, and it's not even just to females in general. Like it's to everybody, dude.
Yeah,
it is intimidating.
Well, Bobby Lane didn't even make it back. If that tells you anything.
I felt so bad. I think he was the first man out, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
So you look at that, and Itch Monroe, who was in like the 40s or 50s in AOI. You look at all these guys who are legends, and
Andrew Upshaw.
Yes, then the guys that are really good anglers not doing as well. It's like, man, that competition there is pretty crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna probably do a whole video on my YouTube channel, just kind of talking about my future plans and what I'm gonna be doing here soon.
Heck yeah! Have you gotten to 100 yet?
I'm at 97. That 100 has been so hard. And this time of year, my videos, I'm not as consistent, especially now I can't really do anything. But in the spring and the summer, I have a really good, consistent growth. But the winter, it always kind of just slows down a little bit.
Yeah, we're in the down season right now because it's changing off into either people are putting stuff away for the year, or it's big time hunting season. People have all their focus there. It's just one of those things. If you're a content creator, if you're going up right now, good for you. Keep it going. But if you're seeing some stuff that's stale, do not panic.
Yeah,
like
it'll all
I
pick
do
back
every
up.
other day. And Alex Rudd, my best friend, was like, this happens every year. You're gonna be okay. So yeah, don't panic. But nonetheless, I'm happy for you. That's gonna be freaking awesome. Are you allowed to dispose of what boat it'll be yet?
Yeah, I can. So I'm actually for the first year I'm going to be running an aluminum boat just for when I'm learning. So it's a new one coming out, and I went that route because I think it's very authentic and it's organic, going from a kayak to aluminum boat, and then I'll probably jump in a fiberglass boat, for 2025. But I like aluminum because I can be myself in it. I can be really hard on things in an aluminum boat.
Yeah, beat it up.
Yep. And I think,
planning to-
for this next year, I want to do some Texas team trail, which that competition, if you all want like the toughest freaking local boat trail, it's in Texas, like bar none. I want to fish one of those, the G, like pretty freaking bad. So I think we're going to do a couple of those, and I'll fish, some smaller, local boat tournaments. And then I have my goal set to maybe fish the very last. I think I'll be ready by October to jump in one open next year as a pro at the end of the year.
Dang.
That's awesome.
We have some people right now in the kayak space that are like, "Yep, that's one more space I'll be up." When she goes,
well, hey, I'm still fishing all the kayak stuff, so
good.
Hell yeah. And I probably will in 2025 too, but maybe not as many, but I'll fish all as many Hobies and Bassmasters next year as I can.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
So I'll see you guys plenty.
Good, yeah. Obviously, you have like Justin said, a lot of people in your corner for that, but that's freaking awesome. I'm gonna be pumped to follow along with that. That's super cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nervous, excited, but things got to move forward.
That's right. Leaders got to lead. So you know what they say. But we're gonna let you go here. But before we do, is there anything else the folks need to know about? Anything big happening for next year? Obviously, it's been a big year for you this year. Getting a house and everything like that, settling down a little bit. It's probably been a lot.
Been a huge blessing. Yeah. And my life always seems to go. It's like this. And I think that's what I want to leave everybody with is, being positive has its ups and downs. Sometimes I don't do a good enough job of being realistic with what I get to do. I get paid to fish full time, which is the biggest blessing that I've ever had, but I don't always show the struggles behind the scenes, the stuff I have to deal with. That's really, really difficult. And every walk of life, there's going to be that, but I just want people to know that no matter where you are in life and in your journey, that it really is all about your disposition and your mindset and your outlook on everything, and just be kind to people because you never know what they're walking through or what they're doing. Be kind. This world has a lot of darkness in it, but it's just so important to remember all the lights out there and that you can be one too. And I think that is my biggest focus moving forward over, using fishing to be alive.
Love that.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Yeah. Kristine, we appreciate you and I appreciate you taking the time out today, and enjoy your Thanksgiving. Rest
you
up.
You guys too. I look forward to seeing both of you. I know I'll see Justin in Florida. Bailey, are we going to see you down at Harris Chain?
I wanted to, but the old wife and I are going on our honeymoon days later. So I would think I would be murdered if I decided to go fish that event.
We won't see you in January, but hopefully at the next one.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, obviously I'll be rooting you guys on from a plane, but nonetheless, appreciate you for taking the time, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Kristine.
Bye.
Such good conversation, man.
All right, that was fun.
Yeah, and I guess that's like
we got some breaking news.
Yeah, if you will, a formal announcement. She's taking on the boat side of things, but for people that might have gotten excited, like, oh man, we don't have to deal with Kristine anymore. She reminded us that she's staying in the kayak side too, so you guys are screwed.
Yep, you're going to deal with 100% healthy Kristine next year. So
yeah, heck yeah, man. That was good. I think for folks that could take anything away from that interview was heavily on the positivity of things. That is. I know it's like we were saying, it's better, or it's easier said than done, right? Remaining positive, having a positive outlook on things, but it's a every single day diligent process of. It is very easy to let in a negative. I do it all the time, but it is a ever ongoing process of trying to remind yourself, hey, this ain't all that bad. Half glass full. You've got to have that outlook on things, and you can see when you bring in more positive comes to you.
It does. I mean? It makes such a big difference. And it's like you were saying earlier, it's kind of cliche. But there's so many. I mean, look how many guys talk about it. Like you got Kevin Van Dam's It's All About Attitude. You've got G-Man and his, positive mental attitude with his bracelets. It's like those are some of the biggest names in the sport ever. And they talk about it. I think as much as they talk about a technique or anything else, I think that's more important than nuts and bolts of fishing. Is just your mindset going into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think you can say it enough. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, completely agreed, man. Amazing show with Kristine, but guys, it is not over yet because we have our favorite segment that happens each year. And did I say each year? I must be losing my mind. Every show.
It is every year too.
Yeah.
It's not incorrect.
But nonetheless, the kayak fishing kings and queens of the week. Hopefully everybody's been enjoying this. We thoroughly do because we're given recognition where it's due. But if you're new to the Kayak Fishing Weekly Show, kayak fishing kings and queens of the week are the people that might not be your tournament winners. They might not be the AOIs, but they are the people that deserve the recognition because they are doing really good for the sport, pushing it forward. They're after that grind, and they're doing really well for themselves. And they've either posted some cool content, or they're the people that had a really good tournament finish, but aren't getting any coverage from it. So we're giving those people, like we said, recognition where it's due. And I guess for this one, Justin, I'll lead it off. I'm gonna go with we've been mixing in some YouTube here, and a guy that I think really deserves it because he's staying consistent as heck. Really good content, mixing it up from tournament videos to river fishing. He's been fishing with our buddy Alex Rudd as well as John Dalton at Creek Fishing Adventure, so he's getting some collaborations in there. Nice. And just seems like a downright good dude, and that's Josh Sharp from Bass and Beer. I'll link his YouTube channel down below. Highly recommend you guys go and subscribe. Hopefully he's going to be a future guest on this show. But really impressed with the content. Love the consistency. You can see the grind in there that he puts forth into the videos as well as just kayak fishing in general. So I'm going to go with first one of the week being Josh Sharp.
I like it.
Heck yeah, man.
I like it. I'll go our next king of the week. I'm going to go with one of our tournament winners. A guy that I had a chance to meet last year, and I've followed him a little bit on the national trails the last couple of years, and he's been very consistent with his finishes. A lot of good finishes on the Hobie series, a lot of good finishes with Bassmaster. And the tournament year is kind of winding down, but they had the Georgia Bass Nation Championship. It was the 17th and 18th of November, and Joshua Deal put up 188.25 inches over 2 days and walked away with it. Very, very impressive finish. Great angler. I expect we'll see a lot more great things out of him this upcoming season.
What was that from like a day 1, day 2 split for 188? That's pretty heavy.
I don't remember exactly, but it was very consistent. It was like, I don't know what that comes to, like 95 a day. I mean, it was almost identical day 1 and 2. Very, very consistent.
I feel like he's one I hear his name or at least see his name a bunch in standings. Never usually as like a winner, but always like there.
Very much so. I know we had a great finish at the Hobie on Harris Chain last year. I remember fishing the same area as him on Smith last year at the Bassmasters, but I think that's 2 years in a row he's been inside the top 10 in Angler of the Year standings for Bassmaster, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
I had one good year, and I was nowhere near top 10 this year. It was atrocious. So it's very hard to be consistent in this sport.
Yeah, a lot of freaking hammers. That's for dang sure. But last one of the episode of the week here. Who's it going to be? Round us out.
Yeah, I actually picked your good buddy, Alex Rudd. And it's not so much for the fishing accolades. So went a little different with this one. He had a video earlier this week that I really liked that kind of ties in well with what we were talking to Kristine about, with sort of that positive mental attitude. If I remember right, the video was titled "This Needs to Be Said." And I don't want to steal his thunder. I know I can't do it justice, but it was him talking about, sharing some personal stories, and I just thought it was a really good message, and I wanted to give him a shout out for putting that out for everybody.
Yeah, that was one. I mean, you nailed it. That was one reinforcing that, hey, there might be a bunch of drama right now in fishing, and that's just with the heightened media, things like that. That's just, you're going to see more of that. But remember, remain positive, because we're here for one thing, and that is to go fishing because we love it. That's what it is. Where when you look at it, life can be much worse. All these people up in arms about what technology you should and shouldn't have access to, and certain things here and there, who finishes what in a tournament, or who beats you. Who cares? Because at the end of the day, you're breathing. And that was kind of like his main message of it was, your happiness can be fixed. Like, that is something that is on you at the end of the day, how you decide to perceive something. And that was, I had a lot of respect for Alex for doing that. I've known Alex for a few years now, and obviously he's a very important person to me. I mean, he married my wife and I. So I don't know if people knew that, but he's always kind of had that outlook, and he's gone through quite the rough year that he taught me a lot of lessons when it comes to that. And I think he's definitely well beyond deserving of Kayak Fishing King of the Week. But love that one, man. Heck yeah. Well, dude, another show in the books for Kayak Fishing Weekly. A heck of a time. Thank you again to Kristine for taking the time to join us here. Hopefully she will be a recurring guest on this show. And obviously, hopefully that old wrist is good to go to take people's money come January at the Harris Chain.
I have no doubt she'll be taking my money again next year.
Yeah. Speaking of next year, I guess for the folks listening in, have you had any time to somewhat plan out what you might be fishing next year?
I'm still pretty much exactly where I was a week ago. I have no idea. I mean, I have an idea of what I want to fish, but it's like whether I'm going to actually be able to like coordinate the logistics and make it work.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be out there. I just don't know how often, but I'll be out
there. I hear you, man. Part of me wants to look at the schedules and be like, yes, every single one that doesn't conflict, I'm going to be there. I wish I could do that. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to do that next year. It isn't to say that I can't do it a couple of years from now, but definitely want to do Lake Murray Bassmaster event. And I plan on doing 3 of the Hobie events. The third one, I have no idea, but I will tell the people that obviously I'll be at home at Cayuga coming back. I plan on doing Saginaw Bay over in Michigan. Got some buddies I can go see. But right now the tentative is Lake Norman, but nonetheless, I got to find a third one to try to fish to try and go back and make the TOC for the next year. But nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting year for me to see how these next couple months shake out. We'll be fishing heavily local though, 100%.
Awesome.
But dude, happy Thanksgiving. Go enjoy it with your family. It's good to get this show recorded here and a nice long weekend where we can go fishing.
Yeah, go Eagles, right?
Yeah, that's right. See, here we go. Yeah, tell her family that.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I wish she was in the room. She'd be giving me the bird from her and the things, not the because I call my Eagles the birds, but she would be giving me the bird if she heard you said go Eagles. Oh, gosh. Well, buddy, appreciate you, folks. Appreciate all of you guys, especially the people that have been tuning in the first couple episodes of Kayak Fishing Weekly and ones that have left us a rating and review. Highly appreciate all of that because that helps us out big time. So if you guys continue doing that, that would be greatly appreciated. Like and subscribe to the Serious Angler Network YouTube channel if you'd like to watch these episodes. And that's going to do it for this week. Stay tuned in to the Kayak Fishing Weekly social media to see who next week's guest is going to be. And that's going to do it. We'll talk to you guys on the next one. Peace.